guys, welcome back to the channel. We got a special guest today. We've got Chris, he was financial fitness. Now you're financial prepper, right, Chris?
That's right. Financial prepper. How you doing?
Good, man. Good to see you. Thanks for coming on today. So we're going to talk a little bit about the diesel fuel shortages, and there's kind of some new information on this, which is why I wanted to kind of jump back to this. So in the past, we've talked about all the urea shortages. We're continuing seeing price increases on the fuel, and that looks like that's only going to continue to get worse. But earlier today, Amanda Lynn had sent me an article on additive shortages, so I sent it over to Chris and thought we'd kind of talk to y'all about this. So let me just give you a brief overview, and then Chris, I'll get your thoughts on it. Basically what they're saying is, and I'll post a link to the article down in the description of the video, as well as I'll post a link to Chris's channel. But the big issue with processing and the diesel fuel right now is actually the additives that go into it. They're having trouble getting the packaging in, so the high density polyethylene that I guess that a lot of these additives are shipped in, that they make the barrels out of, as well as actually getting the additives itself. And these additives, a lot of them are needed to go into modern diesels. The older diesels, it's not near a problem with. So if you're running things like 5.9 Cummins diesels, if you're running a 7.3 Power Stroke, stuff like that, it's not near as big a problem. But where it's going to become a problem is actually in the pumps and in the regulation, because a lot of this stuff is regulated by the EPA that it has to be in the diesel, regardless of whether your vehicle actually needs it. So with that, Chris, I'll jump over to you. What are you thinking about this? How is this a nothing burger, or are you thinking that this could actually result into something?
Man, it is hard to say, dude. This is, if you read the headlines, because when he sent it to me and I got into it and started, really digging into it, it looks like, 911. It says on here, red alert, entire U.S. supply of diesel engine oil may be wiped out in 8 weeks due to a force majeure, additive chemical engine oil suffering numerous critical shortages. It really, really looks bad. And it might be, what they say it is, but it might not be. I hope it's a nothing burger, but we're going to bring it up to you because it's important. And just so you know, do you know what a force majeure means?
I just know that it means it's a big deal, but
that's what I knew. Here's what it means. I looked it up just for everybody's information. Unforeseeable circumstance that prevents someone from fulfilling a contract. The second explanation is irresistible compulsion or greater force. So the next time you read that, you'll know what the actual meaning is, because I hate to say words I don't know what they mean.
Yeah.
But man, look, everything's on the table. In the Thunderdome, anything goes. I know we have a shortage of everything, and engine oil, it was on me. For some reason, I thought about buying a barrel of oil about a year ago. Oil was cheap. Maybe longer than that. It was when oil was really cheap. And I was having some diesel delivered to my house, and I thought, you know what? And I asked the guy, how much is a barrel? And I think it was like $300 or $350 or something like that. And I was like, I'll just wait. I put it off. I didn't take action. But now I'm going to get to pay double for it, because thanks to Mackay bringing this to me, I'm going to buy a 55-gallon barrel. Is it 55 gallons?
Yeah.
I know a barrel of oil is like 40 something. But I guess they sell motor oil in 55-gallon drums.
Yeah, I mean, every time I've had it shipped at places I've been working, it always came in 55-gallon barrels.
Okay.
I've never ordered it for my farm, but I'm going to, because again, it doesn't really go bad. So I can do all the oil changes for my truck and my tractor, and like we talked about earlier, my motorcycle on it, and it'll work just fine for it. So yeah, I'm looking at that, and then I'm in the same boat. I'm going to have my diesel tank here on the farm filled up, and just keep that topped off, because I think at the best case scenario, this adds some more cost to the diesel. We already know, diesel's not going anywhere but up for at least the rest of this year, for the foreseeable future. They may try to get some handle on it right before the elections, but I think we're going to see that going up for the remainder of this year. And so short term, I think that you're going to be money ahead if you go ahead and top off your diesel tanks on your farms.
So let me get into this article that you sent me, because it really is, it's worth looking into. And like you said, oil, diesel, these things are probably, we don't know, because oil, as soon as you think you figured it out, it does the opposite,
Mm-hmm.
So But more than likely, these goods that we need every day are going to go up. Just like I say all the time, you can beat the stock market with buying food and supplies and tampons and, things you're going to use anyway. Why not get it? Secure it. I'm eating food that I bought a year ago.
Yeah.
It makes no sense not to. The stuff we eat every day, don't ever buy anything you're not going to use. I don't get into buying dried foods and stuff like that. I'm buying things and preserving them as, keep it fresh as long as we can.
Yeah, you actually said that the other day on a video on your channel where you were talking about that you don't buy things you don't eat. And Madeline and I, we've never been like these preppers that want like 35 years of freeze-dried food for 70 people like that. I've just never been on that board. We keep a year's worth of food that basically is our stockpile to get through to the next harvest season, right? So I want enough beef so that I can get through to my next cow next year, enough pork, vegetables, etc., to get through to my next year. And then the shelf-stable stuff like your pastas and your rices and stuff like that, it just doesn't make sense to buy them on a monthly or weekly basis. Why not? I mean, you got the room in your house. Everybody in America has huge houses. I mean, you might as well buy that stuff and store it and have it. And then you're working through what you had last year and you're at least having some control on the price.
And you can do the same thing with oil.
Yeah.
Because as you get into this article, I suggest everybody read this. You're going to put it in the description, right?
Yes.
Put it everywhere in the comments. Because as you get into this, you're going to realize if this is halfway true, you're going to be really, really thankful you have oil. And you could use it to barter later. Mm-hmm. You get a hand pump to pump it out if you buy a barrel, or you can just buy the gallons. My father sent me a text 3 days ago or 2 days ago and said, hey, they're out of oil at the parts house. He had to go to Walmart to get it. And today I'm reading the comments off of shortages and things that people are seeing. A guy in Florida said Walmart didn't have any oil. My dad was able to find it at Walmart. So I've gotten 3 comments or 4 about a hard time to find oil. One of them said it was the containers they're having a hard time finding. Now, we don't know for sure. That's what he was told. He works at a parts house.
Well, that's what this article had talked about, because when it's shipped I guess they're having trouble with high density polyethylene, which is the same thing that like a lot of plumbing lines are made out of.
Okay. Well, yeah, all of these things add up to exactly what's been happening. Mm-hmm. And the additives they're running out of is the anti-corrosion agents, dispersing additives. I don't know what that is. If anybody does, leave it in the comments because I'd like to know. Anti-rust mechanisms, friction modifiers, EP additives, anti-foaming agents, antioxidants, etc. Without these additives, diesel engine oil manufacturers cannot produce the final oil products. And they use these oils in diesel engines. This is that's the main takeaway is these oils that the additives are running out in are going in our diesel trucks that everything, and I mean absolutely everything that we get is used in. Everything we get is brought by a train or truck or whatever, and it all takes diesel, and it all has diesel motors running it. A train is diesel over electric. I understand that, but it still, uses a ton of oil, and they don't have the additives to do it. So I'm really curious to see how this works out. I absolutely hope it's a nothing burger, though, because this would absolutely be the death knell in the economy.
So to answer your question, back up just a second, the dispersing agent, I just looked this up. It's on the EPA's website, and it's a chemical that contains surfactants and or solvent compounds that act to break petroleum oil into small droplets. So I guess the intention of that is for some environmental control to allow it to be easier to clean up in some way, and also to allow it to disperse better when it's run through injectors. That's what it looks like on here. So somebody knows in the comments, correct me and tell me if that's right or wrong, but that's what's on the EPA's website.
And I read this a while ago, and I thought I highlighted it. There was 2, my printer crapped out on me, see? But there was 2 places where these additives were made. It's like Shell and one other plant. It's like that they make all of it between those 2 plants. And they don't have the stuff it takes to make it. So that's a real supply chain bottleneck there. It's hard for me to believe only 2 places make all the additives we need. It makes me think they only need a really small amount to go in a lot of oil.
Well, but that's the same thing with the urea, right? Because the urea to make the DEF fluid, that's fairly similar. That there's only there isn't but like one place that makes it, and for some reason, some contractual obligation, it all has to be shipped on Union Pacific railroads. Which that's something I don't understand how they do that, but that's the way it is, I guess, from my understanding. Is that correct to your knowledge?
Yeah. Well, yes. Is the DEF fluid a nothing burger?
I don't think so, because I think the DEF fluid we're seeing shortages in DEF fluid, and I don't buy DEF fluid, so I don't have a good handle on it. But I know my dad does, and I know that they've had trouble finding it at certain stations, and he can usually drive a couple miles down the road and find it at another station. And apparently, one of my subscribers works at a Flying J or something like that, and they were saying that they're stockpiling the DEF fluid in like storage rooms and closing off bathrooms or something like that they're not using, and they're stockpiling the DEF fluid in the little containers there. So the DEF fluid, is it going to be a shortage for the semis? I don't know, but it certainly is going to be a shortage for people driving just diesels every day, and I think that's where it's going to probably hit the most.
Okay, so that kind of sums up the oil thing. Chemical manufacturers of diesel engine oil additives have declared a force majeure and have ceased supply operations to the diesel engine oil manufacturers.
So is this,
there you go.
I think what we're seeing is another straw on the camel's back. That's probably not going to be the one that breaks it, but that certainly is going to increase the cost of fuel going forward. And I think it's probably going to have some effect on our food going forward, right? Because we're seeing continual rises on our food prices, and I think we're gonna see that going forward. So I guess the what I'll leave it with, Chris, is if you guys have farm fuel tanks, it's time to top those off. If you're doing your own oil changes and stuff like that in your house, buying your lubricants now, buying them in bulk, and keeping, obviously, we all keep our engines topped, or at least we should keep our engines topped off, and having those fuels in a small stockpile of those. But if you can do something to get ahead of this now, then you should be. Is that?
And if I've got a pile of oil over there. If you'll drain your oil into a clean container, dump it back into the old bottles that you used the time before, and keep it. You can use it for everything. I use it to heat my shop with. I've got an oil drip on my pellet stove. My uncle runs it back through his vehicles. He says my oil is premium. He thinks that oil doesn't go bad, and so far he's been right, because he's used it in all the big vehicles. And I don't know. It's a little out there, but in the Thunderdome, used oil might be worth keeping, and you've already got it. So change your oil yourself and keep your used motor oil. You might need it.
Yeah, I don't run it back in my vehicles. I do run it in my chainsaw. That's my bar lube in my chainsaw. I don't know if assume you probably do that too, but I run used motor oil to death in my chainsaw.
No, I don't do that. I always thought it'd be black, nasty mess. My diesel oil is just disgusting. It's like tar.
No, I run, because mine's my diesel oil from my truck and my tractor, and I run it all through my chainsaw, and it doesn't ever cause me any problems with it, and it lubricates the bar really well.
Well, I'm going to be doing it from now on. Hopefully next week I'm going to be doing a video on how to sharpen your chainsaw with a side grinder. I'll never use I can sharpen a chainsaw in about 60 seconds with a side grinder.
So I have one of those Stihl tools. I really like that. The Stihl, the little chain tuning tool that they have that goes on top, and I've been pretty happy with that. The only thing I don't like about it is it's hard to do out in the woods. You need to mount it to a bench vise to really do it effectively. But
right.
All right, y'all. Well, we'll leave you with that. So, is this a nothing burger? I don't know, but I think it's certainly another straw on the camel's back that's going to continue to add to the prices that we're seeing at the pump. So, I'll leave the article I'll put down in the description, as well as I'll put a link to Chris's channel. If y'all have not gone over there, Chris has a ton of great stuff on there. He just did one the other day on trapping little animals and stuff like that. I liked your video going into the hole on that. That was pretty cool.
I was hoping to see something in there, but he wasn't home. Or he was deep in there.
It's a little eerie when you're looking at it. And you're like, oh man, I want something to jump out at. But anyways, yeah, Chris had great information, y'all. So go check him out. Other than that, we will see y'all tomorrow morning at 6:30. Thanks for watching.
Later.